Today we face the most chewy, gooey, and sticky battle of our lives. We've all heard the stories as children of the Great Caramel War. Rivers of golden brown caramel reserves, hidden underground, were fought over for years, until there was almost nothing left standing. We thought it was all over, but the word of Candy Month has spread, and the unstoppable urge for more caramel has overtaken the world's leaders. A new war has begun. It's CW2, right now on You Tried Dat! You Tried Dat! The Caramel Wars are back. I'm Nick Novak with my pals Chad Hancock,
Howdy.
Nick Geiger.
What up?
Return to the Caramel Wars.
No,
So many lives
done. I thought it had all been settled.
No wars will never end, guys.
How valuable is this caramel? I'm confused.
I know.
War. What is it good for? Caramel.
Exactly.
It's good for getting caramel.
So we had established that a lot of people died in the Caramel War. Important fact.
Yeah.
Besides that, we don't know a whole lot.
Just facts. Important fact. If you just say important fact afterward, it makes it true.
Yeah. Everyone's dead. Fact.
So we as kids could not eat caramel when we had braces, and most people get braces nowadays. It seems like the three of us all had it, but Chad, we know, has had the worst story of all of us. So Chad, let's hear this tale of woe.
Yeah, well, I inherited some particularly bad teeth. I got braces at first I got braces when I was in second grade, and I had them until junior year in high school, like nonstop. And then along that way, I had like all sorts of like weird devices. I was going to the orthodontist, like basically, I think monthly. And it got to the point where, like, actually one benefit of it now is that I've been sat in that kind of like orthodontist type chair so much that I don't even give a shit when I go to the dentist anymore. They could do like whatever they want to my mouth. Like they can like, murder a bunch of people in a caramel war inside my mouth. And like, I don't even care. I'll just sit there and like go to my happy place.
Do you have like a rascal that's like a dentist chair and you just like roll it in the front door? Like,
Hey, fellas.
Actually, I mean, it was, now that you mention it, like, I mean, a lot of this stuff happened during my formative years, and it's weird. I just never put two and two together, but I can only come in a dentist chair. This is sort of weird. I don't know why that.
You ejaculated while you were getting your braces put on?
you're in there so much. You just have to. Right.
Yeah, they were like giving me an impression. I'm like, I'll give you an impression of my own. That makes no sense. So, but the worst devices I ever had was, some people, they have the headgear where it comes out of your mouth and there's a strap that goes around the back of your neck. I had that, but at the same time I had a second strap that went up and sat on top of my head to try to like pull my mouth up, and I had to wear it 24 hours a day except for eating and sleeping. So that included like at school, PE class, stuff like that. So I was always like terrified and like, in gym that like, cause like I'm not coordinated anyways, right? If somebody throws a dodgeball at me, like I'm not catching it, right? It's going to hit me. And so I'm like worried they're going to like hit me in the face. And...
Just picturing like your head, you get hit in the face and just metal like shards flying all over the place. No.
Stalking around gym class looking like Bane.
This dentist chair rolling through the dodgeball court, just getting pelted by.
And then I'm just blowing ropes all over the place. Oh, this is great.
Hit that masturbating kid.
You are adopted braces. I was born in it. When history class is in ashes, you are
Bane just has braces. That's the.
That's all it is. It's like a giant braces.
But he does have it strapped all around his head, so it could just be.
You don't know.
That's what he's mad about, is that, like, he got braces when he was in 2nd grade, and then they never took him off, and so he's like, now I'm going to destroy a whole city.
Someone cranks those braces, he just starts violently coming all over Batman. Oh, what is it with people with braces? They constantly come about it.
Well, that sounds terrible.
Yeah. But then the worst one I had was for 6 months in 6th grade, I had this one device that was meant to spread out my upper teeth, and so it was like a bar that attached 2 plates on my back upper teeth and then a bar running between them. And it had a little hole in it, and every night my mom had to take like a little paperclip size key, put it in the hole, rotate it 90 degrees to like push my teeth apart. And so basically my mouth was just in pain for like 6 months straight.
Oh, brutal.
That's bad for you, and it's really bad for your mom too. Like your mom
Right.
having to go in there every night knowing she's hurting you and crank those things open.
She like came up to your dentist chair and there's like a big wooden wheel attached to the side, and she's like cranking it really slow.
Were you in a 19th century castle?
Now that I think about it, it wasn't actually an orthodontist. It was like a medieval torture enthusiast that I was going to, I guess.
Geiger, you can't top that. But you
I
did have
cannot.
braces, right?
I did have braces. I've always had good dental experiences because my dad's best friend, one of our good childhood friends, who's this hilarious party animal kind of guy, has been our dentist, or had been our dentist.
What do you want more from a dentist than a hilarious party animal?
And he would tell like dirty jokes, and like I just end up spitting all over myself because I'm laughing. One time my dad would go in after hours and he would just give him like do a dental exam for him like gratis. And one time, you know, the little rinse gun that they'd squirt in your mouth to like clear your mouth out of the toothpaste or whatever. He had hooked up a beer tank to it, so he was spraying beer into his mouth to rinse his mouth out as a joke, and which is, I think, pretty horrible from a dental standpoint. Like it's bad for your teeth. It's got sugars in it. So, and he also had to have like then had to clean all the lines, like so like his next patient is like a recovering AA victim or something. You don't want to be squirting beer in his mouth. But anyway, so he you know, those little rubber bands they put on I had the bands, I think, that would between my jaws for a little bit, but I also, you know, those little rubber bands they put on the front of the little nodules. Right. I would pick out like colors that I wanted. He would ask me what colors I wanted. I'd always pick out like Packer colors or Brewers colors or whatever. And he took it upon himself to always pick like one pink one right in front on my front tooth. That I would get home and I'd see it and I'd be so mad. I would be like thinking my life was always middle school. Like there were several other impediments to my social life, like me and my personality. But I was very angry about the fact that I had like this little tiny pink thing in the front. But yeah, other than that, nothing too terrible. I had a tooth that was going the wrong direction, so they had to glue a plug to it and use a rubber band to pull it and wrap it around the bar on my braces. Yeah, and that popped off of all things while eating a mushy fish sandwich at hot lunch in middle school. That broke it. I don't know how. And that was painful getting it reattached. But other than that, I by and large, I can't say too much. I've had a pretty standard braces experience. Novak, you have any bad?
I think my braces days were standard, painful for sure. I want what one of you guys was saying makes me think about. I hate when the dentist is trying to talk to you or the hygienist and like expecting you to answer questions when you've got shit jabbed in your mouth and you're like thinking, no, just give me a second. You know, as soon as you get the drill out, I'll answer your question about what breed my dog is. So
yeah. I had foot braces. Did you guys ever have those when you were a kid?
What's that?
I was slightly pigeon-toed, I think, at birth. So I remember when I was very little, I have very like some of my first memories as a human. They would put my feet in these braces that were like connected with a bar in the middle, and they were to like, straighten my feet. So I would only wear them at night. I think I wouldn't.
Is this like foot binding because they wanted to see like your ass move more?
yeah. I didn't fail to mention I was the first male American geisha. They just hello and come out, and they would all boo.
It was your dentist that did this to you, Frank.
You guys ever wear like braces and then have to like pleasure businessmen? Do you guys remember that? I have no idea if that's what geishas do.
That's pretty much what they did, right?
Yeah, we'll just assume or cut this out, either one. But yeah, I
You do
had
the
to
wet
wear.
t-shirt contest, and your dentist, you think it's water, but he pours beer all over your tits. That's
I was
the
really
worst.
mad because like I'd go to sleep and I'd wake up and like instead of the blue bikini that I had requested, my dad has put me in a pink one. I had to like gyrate in front of the crowd in a pink bikini. It's not what I asked for. I asked for pack colors. Green and gold, one at each titty. But instead, I was stuck with pink. No, yeah, it. I don't remember much about that. I got them. It must have been like 2 or 3 by the time I was out of those because I'm not pigeon-toed and I don't remember wearing the braces as an older child.
You guys just had fucked up bodies. That's more than.
Not much has changed.
What we did to our bodies.
Well, we've got a lot of caramel to eat, so let's get to our snacks. We rate these snacks on a 5-point scale: a love dat, like dat, indifferent to dat, dislike dat, and hate dat. And we've got 4 caramel snacks today. We're going to start with the one that's going to break our teeth off, so we will need more dental care. That's the Sugar Daddy. Sugar Daddy caramel is hard AF.
Sugar Daddy is hard AF. Is that did I hear you right? Well, yeah, that's your job to take care of it.
Sugar Daddy modeled after me in a dentist chair. That was their inspiration.
Have you guys had either a Sugar Daddy candy or a Sugar Daddy in real life before?
No comment on the second. No in the first. Is this just a solid bar caramel? Is that all this is, or is there like anything to it?
Yeah, it's usually. I mean, I think sometimes they're softer, but I think you have to. I'm not trying to make a sexual joke about this, but I think you have to suck on it quite a bit.
Ow! Fucking cracked like a motherfucker. Oh god! Literally, I was like biting it, and then all of a sudden it snapped, and a bunch of pieces flew all over my laptop.
I definitely had these as a kid, from time to time. But it basically is, if you haven't had it, it looks like a long, flat piece of caramel, but it's on a stick. And
Yep.
I don't know a better explanation of that.
You're right. I don't know.
You bite it, it fucking cracks your teeth in two.
Oh my god, I gotta get braces again.
Chad looking real disgusted. Chad, you don't like that caramel that much anyway. Am I right about that?
Right? Yeah.
You're not a caramel fan?
Yeah, I think in general, like caramel, it has its place as like a compliment to like, you know, in the bigger picture of things, right? Like caramel in a Snickers bar or something like that. But something that's like just caramel, I will never reach for that. And especially not when it's this kind of like hard caramel. It's just like an unpleasant eating experience, you know?
All right, Geiger, you're up first. What do you think?
Well, you heard me take one bite. Kind of don't want to take another because that went so poorly. It is really hard to bite. I don't really know. Like it's just difficult. I don't know. It's hard to eat. It's first of all, why does it need to be this big? This is a huge fucking piece of candy. Is this one serving? Does it say? I don't know. It doesn't say. I wrote that part off. Anyway, who cares?
That big? I mean,
It is one serving.
It's not that much bigger than a candy bar.
It's a lot flatter and wider and kind of longer than a lot of candy bar. I don't know. It's a lot of one flavor, put it that way. Caramel is fine. I think I said last year in the Caramel Wars that I'm okay with caramel. I'm not. It is what it is. I hate that it's so chewy. It tastes fine. I think it's too big, and I think it's way too hard AF, much like my Sugar Daddy. I will give it an indifferent to that. It is maybe like a touch behind. It's almost like kind of in between like that, and because I do think the taste is good, but I am going to get an indifferent just because of form factor alone.
I take some exception to you saying that caramel's just when so many people fought and died in the Caramel Wars, and you just shrug it off like it's nothing.
I mean, look. Hey, I didn't really give a shit about the North or the South either, but the Civil War happened. No, I don't know. I didn't want to say another country because that'd be disrespectful, so I picked our own.
So you picked it. You're like, I don't care about slavery.
Oh, well, okay. No, I care about the topic behind it.
You're like, no, I don't. I care about states' rights.
Someone else rate the snack, please.
Well, I don't care about the War of 1812. So let me just get that out of there right now. That one is very meh to me.
What about all the things that was about?
What was that about? Do we know?
They didn't want it to be 1811 anymore.
Caramel? Was it about caramel?
Caramel. Yeah, that's it. Now it all
Caramel.
fits.
Caramel based.
It was about 1,812 sugar daddy bars. Look, even though this is one serving size, I think I just took a couple bites. I'm going to put the rest in a Tupperware, save it for later.
Compost.
And then take that Tupperware and dump it into compost. That's right. It's impossible to eat. This thing's impossible to eat. I was like able to take a couple tiny bites. I can't imagine like spending the time and effort, the like hour and a half it would actually take to like work through this whole thing. Because the flavor's not good. It's not good. It's like fairly bland. It's not like layered or complex in any way. It's just generic sweetness. And then on top of that, it's hard to eat. I never want to touch this thing again. Hate that.
Wow.
Hate that?
Unbelievable. It's an innocuous piece of caramel.
So is the taste that bad? Or is it really just
the taste is a mild dislike that.
Okay.
But then the form factor just tips the scales.
This is not a hate that. Slavery is a hate that for me. I will say that.
All right, fine. I'll agree with you there.
It's definitely too hard. I don't care about it.
Something you've never heard before in your life.
I don't care about the size being too big. I'm
something
literally
you've
trying to
never
describe
heard
the fucking candy bar. I'm trying to describe the candy. There's no other way to describe it. I'm saying these sentences in my head, and I'm like, these assholes.
Too much voluminous cum. Look, I'm describing the candy, all right?
Veiny, round, shaft-like. I'm just describing the candy, that's all.
Just describing that guy in the dentist chair rolling around. So it's a real middle of the road. I'd have no problem eating it. The flavor's fine. It tastes like caramel, and I don't dislike the flavor of caramel. So I'm going to go with Geiger and give it an indifferent to that. So 2 indifferents and a hate, a rough start to start off here. And next, let's eat the Milky Way. Because we know this one's going to be a little softer. So this is the Milky Way Salted Caramel. And we did long ago have a Milky Way Simply Caramel, which was a Milky Way with only caramel and no nougat in it. But this is a new one that's been on shelves recently.
Ooh, definitely tastes the salt right away.
Does this one have nougat, or it does have nougat?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As well as caramel. The normal Milky Way, remind me again, because I don't eat them a lot, is the normal Milky Way just caramel and nougat?
It's this.
Yeah, it's this. It's just not salted.
With no salt out at all of the taste.
It's exactly this, but no salt. Got it.
Three Musketeers is the one that's all like nougat in the middle.
You do taste the salt. It's definitely not super overwhelming.
You
do. Chad, you're first on the Milky Way.
Okay, so yeah, I don't eat a lot of Milky Way in the past because it just doesn't really stand out to me, right? Like just nougat and caramel. I'd rather go for something like a Snickers that has like some additional ingredients in there. But I think the addition of salt, it actually really does a lot for this bar. I think it brings out all the flavors in a really nice way. I like this way more than I remember liking a regular Milky Way. Now, maybe I need to go back and try a regular Milky Way. I think I haven't had one outside of like the fun size that you get at Halloween in a really long time. This is really good. I'm going to take one more bite here just to try to decide.
You're going to go on the total opposite end of the spectrum here?
Shocking.
It's a good bar. I'm going love that.
Wow. This guy's all over the place.
Man.
I don't love it, but my first thought was that I didn't like it as much as a regular Milky Way was my first thought. But eating a little more, I think I actually would probably put it on the same level. Milky Way is not in my regular candy bar rotation.
Right.
for getting at stores, but I will pull it out of a Halloween basket and have it. So I think it's decent. It needs more. Like you said, a Snickers is better than a Milky Way.
Yeah.
I think the salt, if you are a Milky Way fan, this is worth trying. It's close enough to the original. The salt's not changing it in any crazy way. I'm going to give it a solid like that. So a love and a like. Geiger, what do you think?
Yeah, I like regular Milky Ways to begin with. I like the salt. It kind of helps break up the taste a little bit. It's not so overly sweet, but it's also not like super salty. I think it's good. We don't need to beat around the bush. I don't love it, but I'm with Novak. I give it a solid like that as well. This is tasty. I ate the whole thing, despite the fact we have 2 more pieces of candy to eat tonight.
Never stopped you before.
No, not. Very rarely. So yeah, solid like that for me.
It's a great score for the salted caramel.
Mhm.
A love and 2 likes. It's going to be hard to beat, but it's not out of the woods yet. We'll get to the other 2 after the Seggy. Geiger?
Are we calling them Seggies on air now? Is that what we're doing?
We've been calling them, we've said Seggy many times.
All right.
Let's not hide our
Seggy
shame.
time on my cats and kittens. All right. So we've all gone through, we had to live through the terrible Caramel Wars. We all know that.
It was rough.
We had to attend several Caramel War memorials, honor those that fallen, protecting our land's vast reserve of caramel. But
We did.
there's other wars going on all the time. Small skirmishes, battles, conflicts. Sorry, let me get my thesaurus out here. Yeah.
Small skirmishes?
You know what? It's a skirmish.
Yeah,
Skirmish is a
there's
word.
wars all the time. Like somebody will get in the way of my dentist chair, and I'll have to like run them over. That kind of stuff.
Yes. Yeah, that's what they call
Where are
a
you
war.
going with this?
Well, if you let me finish and get into my Seggy, what we're talking about is
You're beating around the bush.
some people war over cereal, right? So, to put an end to that, in 2019, the LA Times tried to end all cereal wars. They wanted to decide what the 23 best cereals were, so they ranked them. Okay, so we've done similar things like this before. I'm going to alternate between you guys 5 different times. You're going to pick what you think will be the 5 most popular cereals on the list, and we'll see who finishes first. Very simple.
Like you're gonna total up our score or whatever.
Correct. Yeah.
Hmm.
The one thing I'll say real quickly.
We've got to get 10 out of the 23. That's
Yeah,
gonna be
that
crazy.
can't be that bad, right? One thing I'll say is definitely use flavors. So I'm not going to say anything more than that. But like for use an example, like don't just tell me Chex. What kind of Chex, right, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only thing I'll say as a pre-clue.
Got it.
Who wants to go first? Gentleman's rights here.
I'll go.
Okay. No bad.
Clarifying question:
Yeah,
what happens if somebody says one that's not on the list?
you get 0 points.
No, you should get 24 points.
Okay, fine. You get 24 points.
Look, I just want to make your math as hard as possible.
All right, I'm not Dave here. I'm not trying to reinvent math.
What happens when you add the numbers wrong?
then we never do a correction, and people are left to do their own math on their own.
Okay, wait. These are the most popular or just the best?
Well, they rank. Yeah, they're what they. No, I'm sorry, not popular in terms of sales or anything. This is the 23 best cereals.
Okay.
And they are cereals you have all heard of. They're not like local, like
All right, let's go alphabetical. Novak, you're first.
the Hancock alphabetical system. All right, I'm gonna start with the first thing that popped into my head, and that's Honey Nut Cheerios.
Yeah.
Ooh, very well done. Honey Nut
First one.
Cheerios is number 2.
Ooh.
Wow.
So 22
Wow.
points for Novak right out.
That was the first thing I thought.
Same. Yeah.
Chad, to you.
Damn, we should have gone in regular alphabetical order. All right. All right, the second one popped into my head. One of my personal faves, Frosted Flakes.
Ooh,
Frosted
that was my
Flakes
next one.
Is on the list. It is. Let me find it. Let me do a quick search. I typed them out this time, so on my phone while my dad called. Hold on. Frosted Flakes, surprisingly farther down the list. You only get 6 points. It is like in the bottom quadrant there.
Then why is he getting 6 points then?
Because I'm giving you 22. I inverted the list. So the second
Oh.
place
Oh,
22
okay. Then
points.
we do get 0 points if we don't get
That's
it.
what I said, but you guys
okay,
throw
okay.
fucking ideas.
Okay. So it's high. It's so wait.
High
So
score
6
wins.
6 means it was 17th.
Yeah. Sure, we'll go with it.
You should have just had lowest score wins.
I was trying to do high scores. You guys need. You want to fucking do the segment next time? You can.
All right. So I'm gonna go with Lucky. I'm going with Lucky Charms.
Lucky Charms. Ooh, that is the 22nd ranked snack. So you get 2 points, Novak. I also don't know if I agree with all these either. Let's keep that in mind.
Yeah, I mean, Frosted Flakes being that low, the whole thing now, it could be anything. Like, this list could be in any order now. Like, they could have fucking Special K at the top or some shit. There's a couple choices you could go with here, but I think I'm gonna try a similar vein here. I'm gonna go Fruit Loops. See about Fruit Loops.
Fruit Loops are on the list. You get 11 points. They are 13th. I also can't see your faces because I'm looking at the Google thing, so don't be being a dick. All right, so we've each done 2, so Novak, you got 3 more stabs at it.
Okay. I'm thinking of stuff my kids eat.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like this, but I'm gonna go with Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Mr. Novak, that is the number 1 ranked cereal.
Is
God
it
damn it,
really?
that was my next one.
Wow.
That was my next
Yes.
one.
I've never.
Fucking
I don't think
shit.
I've ever eaten that. Is it really that good?
No, it sucks.
No, I don't like cinnamon stuff, but honestly, I know a lot of people who love it.
Okay. Chad got a hard road to hoe here. He's got the top 2 snacks, or top 2 cereals, I should say.
Fucking hell. That was my next one. Oh, I should have said it instead of Fruit Loops. The reason I did the problem with Cinnamon Toast Crunch, it makes the milk taste like ass. It's not good cereal milk after.
Yes, because everyone eats cereal so they can drink the milk afterward.
The Frosted Flakes milk is awesome. It's all full of sugar. Or like the one I'm gonna say next makes awesome milk, which is Cocoa Puffs.
Number 3.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's a good. I loved Cocoa Puffs when I had them.
Yeah, Cocoa Puffs.
We never had sugary cereal as a kid. I think I've talked about that. But as an adult, I started eating Cocoa Puffs a little bit, and they were tasty.
Man, I'm afraid to say some of these, like of my favorite cereals, because I don't think they're on there. I'm gonna regret. This is one of my favorite cereals. I might regret choosing it, but I'm gonna say Pops.
Corn Pops?
Yeah.
They are on the list. They are 12.
Okay.
So upper half.
All right.
Not
It's
bad.
better than I thought.
Right.
All right, how many guesses do I have left? 2?
You got 2.
I'm gonna go. Now I don't personally like this cereal, but
Mm-hmm.
I guess some people can make a case for it. I'm gonna go with Captain Crunch.
Captain Crunch is on the list. It's 3rd from the bottom, however.
Ah,
So it was pretty far down there. Yeah.
that's a deserving spot. It sucks.
So Novak, your last stab at it. I think you probably got it.
Okay.
But
Yeah, he's pretty much clinched it here.
This is I'm gonna make a sort of out of the box pick here.
yeah,
Wow.
Because it's one of the. It is
Out of the cereal box.
nice.
That's right. It's a not quite as popular cereal. We all know it, but no one really buys it. But as a kid, it's the greatest thing you could ever get. Cookie Crisp.
Wow.
Cookie Crisp is the 23rd ranked cereal. Is dead last. So Novak, you have the top.
Cookie
2
Crisp
and the
is a
bottom.
fucking amazing cereal. The fact, I mean,
Really?
it's the fact that it even exists.
Your eyes full of wonder over there. Huh? How did they invent such a thing?
Novak suddenly realizing he can only come while he's eating Cookie Crisp. It all falls together.
Just look in the cereal aisle, just my dentist chair just spinning in circles in place, like woo, is Cookie Crisp on me.
Okay, for the last ones, I'm gonna go with Geiger's hint here, where he talked about flavors. Plain Cheerios. Gonna go plain Cheerios.
Not on the list
Oof.
What
at all.
the fuck?
Let me take a next guess. My 6th one that I just thought of was going to be Golden Grams. Would that have been on?
Golden Grams is 4th.
Oh shit!
So that would have been pretty
Fucking
high.
hell. I discarded Golden Grams early on. I was like, oh, it's probably not on the list.
Yeah,
Wow.
You shouldn't have done that, man.
I shouldn't have. I got slaughtered here.
All right. So, yes, 60 to 40. Novak gets it. So, Novak got
Wow.
the number 1, the number 2, 1 in the middle, and then the 2 bottom. And then you had 2 in the bottom quadrant, 1 in the middle, and the 3rd. So,
Cinnamon Toast Crunch won it for me.
yes, exactly.
Ass beating.
running down the list real quick. We'll see what you guys can give me your initial impressions of. Just shout out if that's way too high, way too low, because I haven't eaten a lot of these actually, so I won't even know as much. Cinnamon Toast Crunch is ranked the best.
Cinnamon Gross Crunch.
Cinnamon Gross Crunch. Honey Nasty Ass Cheerios. No. Honey Nut Cheerios 2. Cocoa Puffs is 3. Golden Grams, like we just said, is 4. Chad, I was very surprised. You're going to be heartbroken. Reese's Puffs is 5th. I really thought
That's of course the first cereal I thought of because my favorite cereal, but I didn't think to say it because I thought it was too obscure.
I thought so too. I didn't think for a second they'd put that in there.
Yeah.
So maybe that gives this list some legitimacy. Who knows? 6 is chocolate Frosted Flakes, which I have never had and honestly didn't even know.
What?
Regular Frosted Flakes 100 times better than chocolate. Wow.
7 is French Toast Crunch. I don't know what that is.
It's like Cinnamon Toast Crunch, but worse.
Oh, that adds up. I don't know why I couldn't put that together. 8 is Cocoa Krispies. 9 is Cracklin' Oat Bran. I did have that while I was a kid. I liked it fine. 10 is Golden Crisp. 11 is Apple Jacks. 12 is Corn Pops, which Novak had. 13, Chad, you had Fruit Loops. 14 is Frosted Mini Wheats. 15 is Raisin Bran Crunch. 16 is Honeycomb.
Shit.
17 is Trix. Trix sucks, doesn't it? I've had Trix. I don't like it.
Honeycomb's my favorite cereal of all time.
Really?
Yes, I love honeycomb.
I just like cornflakes. I'm boring.
Next, fucking awful.
Frosted Flakes, you had, Chad. Next is Fruity Pebbles. Then Captain Crunch Crunch Berries, followed by the bottom 3. Chad, you had Captain Crunch. Novak, you had Lucky Charms. And then also you had the 23rd. I mean, we say the last, but it's 23rd out of all the cereals in the world. Cookie Crisp. So
some of that is a crime. Like, stick a bowl of Cookie Crisp next to a bowl of cornflakes and tell me the cornflakes are better. No, get the fuck out.
I don't know. I've never had. I didn't grow up on sugary cereal though, so I'm not used to it when I eat it. I will have some of my kids Frosted Flakes once in a while. I like Honey Nut Cheerios, and I really liked. I remember liking Cocoa Puffs, but those almost get too much. Like you drink the milk after you want to barf.
I actually envy you a bit. Like I eat some of the healthier cereals and they taste like shit. Like I know they're better for me, but I'm like, I've been ruined. Like I need the sugar.
Yeah, same.
I usually eat cornflakes or Crispix once in a while. I used to like the one kind of sugary one we had as a kid was Kix. I was actually surprised Kix were not here, but maybe they're not as popular.
I was even taught as a kid, because it's how my dad ate it, when we got Rice Krispies, to spoon sugar from the sugar thing and put it on the Rice Krispies.
Yeah, we'd either spoon sugar or just like a gallon of honey all over the cereal. That's the only way you can eat half those things.
Well, then you spoon the sugar. Like inevitably, you get this big spoon at the bottom where you scrape the bottom of it. It's like just a bunch of fucking sugar.
I remember I went to a friend's house and he's like, he's like, you want some breakfast? We were going somewhere in the morning and he's like, here, have some breakfast. We have cornflakes. I'm like, oh, perfect. So I pour a bowl of cornflakes, just put some cereal, start eating. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, we're not done. I'm like, what do you mean? He starts like dumping raisins, fucking honey, and sugar on it. I'm like,
did you grab your wrist? What the fuck are you doing?
What the fuck? We're putting you back in braces, kid. Just started dumping 8 pounds of fucking sugar on it. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
We're not done.
So you think I should try?
I don't want that stuff. I said we're not done.
Like pushing my face in the bowl.
You'll eat these raisins and you'll fucking like them.
So if I had to try one of these, you recommend I try Cookie Crisps? Is what you're saying?
Well, I mean,
if
you haven't had any sugary cereals in your life, that's maybe not where to start.
I've eaten them, some of them, but yeah.
I mean, you need to start small, like Corn Pops or something like that. You know, like work your way up.
It's a gateway drug.
Yeah.
Give me the stronger stuff.
Yeah. You got to work your way up to those Reese's Puffs, man. Come on. You can't just start by snorting a line of Reese's Puffs.
You can't ride the Tony the Tiger immediately. You got to wait.
Remember that time? I remember you told me that when you stayed with Chad, like, you got up and he's like, "Oh, let's make some breakfast." And then you were pouring Reese's Puffs and you put some milk on it. And then suddenly you heard his chair like into the room and he grabbed you and he's like, "We're not done."
It was really weird. I was like, "Hey, let's make breakfast again." I fried up some eggs and I was about to like my fork was on the way to my mouth and I grabbed it. He's like, not finished. And he put on 3 scoops of ice cream and a waffle. I was like, all right, sorry.
And then right as you were about to put the spoon into your mouth, I whipped a dodgeball at your face.
We're not done. He pulled out a key and started ratcheting my mouth open. Like, ah! And he shoved all the
All right. Let's eat our other 2 caramel snacks. Let's next go to the bullseyes. So these are Goetze's bullseyes. We did another. I don't know if it's Goetze. We just keep wanting to say Goetze because we're children.
Goetze, right? This thing looks like a Goetze.
These.
It looks like a Goetze. It looks like a Goetze. Now, come on.
It tastes like a Goetze. These are beloved in my house by my wife and kids, and are made by the same people who make cowtails. If you've had cowtails before,
Are they the same people who made DuckTales as well?
yes, Scrooge McDuck.
Disney has been bought by Goetze.com.
Launchpad McQuack.
Scrooge McDuck first put like a few $1,000s in his vault, and they're about to close it, and he's like, "We're not done yet."
And they just put raisins in there instead. Yeah, you can close it. Put a bunch of honey all over his coins. When he dove into that coin, how did he not just break his face constantly? Solid metal. You can't swim in that shit.
Spoken like somebody that's never swam in a pool full of coins before.
Yeah, I got it.
So the white middle is like a totally different consistency and flavor.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, if you haven't had it, it's a kind of a circular candy, cylindrical, and the outside is all caramel, and then there's a white center to it that you can see from both sides. And I don't know what that white center cream is, but it is tasty. I have the ingredients here. It just says cream center on the box. That's all it says.
The center is the ingredient is cream. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm first on these. These are tasty. I find these to be a nice treat. Without the white center, just a regular piece of caramel, I would probably give it a different 2. But it does give like a coolness to the taste, the white part of it, that is pleasing. And I think these 2 things go together well in tandem. I don't love them, but I do like them quite a bit. So I'm going to give this a like that to start. So Geiger, what do you think of these?
I really like the cream in the middle. I gotta be honest. I liked it. I was pleasantly surprised when it was like soft and creamy and sugary. It tastes like frosting in the middle of a candy. The caramel, I would say, doesn't taste that caramely. I guess it's like a really, after these other 2 caramel snacks, this tastes like a really muted, overly sweet version of caramel, which I don't like that much. So I am going to give it right in the middle and indifferent. I think they're fine. You know, it's a pleasant enough candy. But I think like the cream almost dominates it to the point where it's not really all that caramely, which is not the worst thing in the world, but it's kind of defeats the purpose.
Chad, what do you think?
Well, I mean, thank God for the center of Goetze, because that's what redeems this snack. The cream in the middle is outstanding. It's like I ate some of it just on its own, and I think it's fantastic. I think you package that up, you put it in some like really nice chocolate or something like that, or maybe some caramel that's not dog shit. Then I think that you could have something that's like really, really good. But the exterior of this thing doesn't work for me at all. I don't like the flavor very much of the caramel. I think it's a little too muted. I mean, maybe what you're saying, Geiger, is right, that the cream takes over and dominates, and so you don't even taste that caramel. And so then all I'm getting from the caramel is like the kind of like hard consistency that makes me feel like I'm getting another impression taken or something like that. Like it's just sticking in my teeth. So those 2 things, I am going to kind of even it out there, right there with an indifferent to that in the middle. But that cream is really good, and I could totally see why people like this thing.
Okay, a like and 2 indifference. Not a great score, but a decent one. And actually, it makes me think those impressions were just one of the worst things about having braces.
Yes, they're terrible.
The worst.
When they did the lower one, it was fine, right? But then the upper one would be like dripping into clogging up the back of your throat, and it was just like a nightmare.
I actually puked on my orthodontist twice when when they were taking the upper impression.
That guy earned his fucking vote off of you.
Like, yeah, 2 different occasions they were taking the upper impression, and it like triggered my gag reflex, and I ended up like puking and so then the third time they had to take an impression, they came in with like a little bowl, and they just like held it underneath my mouth while they were doing it, and I had to like actively concentrate like not to do it. Like I had to like breathe, like breathing exercises and stuff to not puke. Eventually I got over it.
So
But,
I bet when you first went in, you weren't even going to get that much work. And then the guy looked down at his clothes soaked in puke, and he's like, "We're not done yet." He's like,
Give him the ratchet key. Yeah. Did someone else have to stand with a little bowl next to your penis and catch all your cum that was shooting out of your dick? Yeah, I had to have one of those done like 2-3 years ago because I guess I grind my teeth at night, so they gave me like one of those plastic retainers, and they had to do a mold again. I was like reminded to like it's just such an unpleasant, uncomfortable feeling. I hate it.
yeah.
I didn't puke on anyone.
Yeah, the first 2 impressions I puked out of my mouth. The subsequent impressions I puked out of my crotch. So.
my crotch.
That's what it's called.
That's what'll make that joke clean enough to tell.
Crotch puke is the official name now, so like whenever I'm watching porn, I'm like, oh, get me to the crotch puke shot.
We're having a hard time getting pregnant, so I went and got my sperm counted. I had to crotch puke into a cup, and the doctor had to look at my crotch puke and decide how much sperm. Crotch puke's a scientific word for it.
The last one's gonna need a little time. I've had these before, and you kind of need to go for a minute or two before you can get the full effect. It's a caramel apple pop. This is the Tootsie brand, one of it, where the one thing about these, the consistency is always very different, where some of these you get a bit more caramel on it, some less, and the caramel is definitely not like a straight uniform shape all the time. It's kind of like raggedy on the outsides and different from pop to pop, but it is a apple lollipop surrounded by caramel.
This is a giant sucker. Like, this thing fills your mouth.
You have to get through to get down to some of the apple, because the combination really, I think, is what makes it.
All right, bear with us for the next 20 minutes while you just hear us slurping on sucker.
We'll be back, folks.
2 hours later.
I'll go first because I've had them. So these, I've had a number of over the years. I think these are outstanding. The caramel is hard on the outside, and I've heard people complain that it feels like their mouth is getting cut up by the sides of the caramel. But I think the flavor is outstanding. I think caramel apples are very good. Like a real caramel apple, I like that flavor of apples combined with caramel. Chaz, I see biting it. I don't think it's made to be like bitten.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
Chewed.
Come on, bro.
But I really like the flavor, and I think there's like a good amount of caramel to apple ratio here. I've always really liked these. I'm going to give it a love dat to start. Love these caramel apple pops. I know it's probably a little shocking, but I'm a huge fan. So Geiger, what do you think? Do you like regular caramel apples?
I do. I used to. I can't really eat them anymore because I'm allergic to apples. But we used to get them at the state fair in Wisconsin all the time. They would put like whipped cream and peanuts and like some drizzle the caramel, like the caramel sauce, and they were delicious. And my dad used to get them from the store all the time too. The ones from like just the grocery store. So yes, I'm a big fan. I haven't had one in a long time for obvious reasons. I'm anxious to get to the apple part. I haven't really gotten there. Let me just quick lick this thing up.
That's why I took a bite, so I could get access to some of the...
Oh, fuck. Oh, my teeth are going to shamble.
Yeah, I don't...
Fucking...
I was about to say I don't recommend doing that, but you jumped the gun there.
It's still worth it. My molars also taste great. I think they're also floating around in my mouth. Fucking A. My hurt. This is a very good combo. I like sour apple candy. It's like I think it's a decent alternative. Like when you have a batch of fruit flavors and all of them are sweet, I like having that sour apple one in there. Not my favorite, but I think they're good. And I like it with the caramel. You're right in that the caramel's not overpowering. I do think it's a little hard to eat. Like it's a big sucker. It fills your mouth, and yeah, the edges I can see I can see where they're sharp, but I can't see where they're cutting up someone's mouth. Suck it a little less hard then if you're really sliced open by the fucking candy bar. Um, do bring a pickaxe if you're trying to get in.
Saddest mouth of all time.
I will. I'll give it a mild like that. I think they're good. I don't love it, but I do think it's tasty now that I've been able to taste the two flavors together, and now that feeling has come back into my face.
All right, we've created some drama because we've got the Milky Way Salted Caramel earlier, got a love and 2 likes. Right now we've got a love and a like. So a love will tie it up, and indifferent, the Milky Way goes home. And if out of left field, a love could give these the win. Chad.
Well, I'm not normally a lollipop guy, right? I mean, I used to like them a lot as a kid, but I probably in the last 20 years, I probably had maybe 10 lollipops or something like that. Like, it's just not something I ever really seek out, but it's kind of fun, right? Like, it's just kind of fun to you hold it out of your mouth, you pretend you're smoking a cigarette, stuff like that. It's fun.
What are we talking about right now?
Look, I'm just saying, here's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that, I was surprised by this thing in a lot of ways, because when I first tried it, I was absolutely ready to trash the shit out of it, right? On first impression, I'm like, why the hell would you ever eat this thing? It's hard. It's inconvenient to eat. I stupidly took a bite out of it, and then I had to peel that bite off of my teeth, which was a huge mistake.
I am doing that right now. I can't get it out of my molar. It's terrible.
But
lollipop, fuckers.
But okay, so I got past all that, and now I'm sort of really getting into the lollipop experience, right? And it's kind of bringing me back. There's a nostalgic factor here of enjoying the lollipop flavor. And once you get past that caramel, which isn't particularly great caramel, you get to the apple, which is fine apple, but not particularly great. But that combo of the two is magical.
Yeah.
This thing is fucking delicious. I'm giving it a love dat.
Yes!
It's really good.
Yes!
What? Wow.
Yeah, you're fumbled to the microphone.
What? I'm not stunned. I mean, I liked it, but I think it's also just because I know how much you hate sticky stuff and don't really seem to like caramel. I'm surprised.
In this lollipop form, it kind of works. Now, I will say, I prefer the Milky Way. I gave both of them a love. I like the Milky Way better. But I think this is still very good. It's really a pleasant surprise.
I don't like apple-flavored candy. If you gave me an apple lollipop, I would turn it down.
Really?
But it is something about the combination of these things that is very good, that you just get a little bit of the apple flavor mixed in with that caramel. So I remember being very skeptical about this when I first had it and coming to love it. But a bunch of high scores today. We had one hate snuck in there. But overall, a very positive episode for this year in the Caramel War.
Incredible! All those people's deaths were worth it.
Absolutely, people did not die for. It would have been disappointing to figure out. Look, you gave your lives to get these caramel reserves, and none of it tastes good. Yeah. But yeah, it's the least worth it.
They died all so we can honor them in an episode interspersed with jokes about Chad coming on a dentist.
What better way to honor the dead than to spooge on a 50-year-old man who's not expecting it?
You did. You earned the right to tell those jokes with all that dental work that you went through, though. So.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about at the time. They're just screwing shit into my teeth, and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to tell jokes about how this is making me come in 30 years to 5 people.
Geiger, where can those 5 people contact us?
If you also have an erotic fixation with dentistry, orthopedics, or orthopedics, we'll listen to it all. You can get in touch with us. Or if you just want to tell us what snacks we should try, disagree with our ratings, give us a question for the mailbag, do anything else besides engender our terrible jokes, you can reach us at youtrydat@gmail.com. Hashtag You Tried Dat on Twitter. The YouTube group. We don't have a YouTube group. We're just on YouTube. That's how YouTube works. We do have a Facebook group called You Tried Dat. We're also on Instagram. Drop us a review, star us up, listen to us, download us, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your dentists, all of them.
Tell your dentist to star us up.
Star us up. That's how people say
Slide into our DMs, dentists of the world.
You slide into our DMs and I'll slide into your office in my dentist chair.
All right, if you guys had to enlist in the armed forces, which branch would you choose?
I mean, the answer is Air Force, right? Like, you don't...
Not for me.
You need like better vision, I think, to be.
Yeah, I know. I don't physically qualify because I'm like have shitty vision, shitty teeth, shitty breath, like shitty body, everything. But like, if you could get into the Air Force, like you never like are staring down a bayonet or anything like that, right? You're just like flying over people and like maybe you could do some loops and stuff.
Not sure that people are fighting with bayonets all that often anymore, dude. I hate to bring it to you.
I think you can get shot out of the sky just as easily.
You're not staring down the business end of a catapult, am I right, guys?
The reason I could never do Air Force is those things would be doing like you'd be flying around and doing loops and shit, and I'd be puking like Chad and getting a mouth impression.
See, I think that'd be fun.
I think you have to be shorter to get in. I think.
Yeah.
Don't you? I think you have to be a certain height, and you're too tall. You and I are too tall to be in those planes. That's why I know that.
Geiger, what would you go in?
I'd say Marines just because my grandfather was a Marine, but I also have a feeling the Marines would not want me there because I'm weak and bad at stuff.
Hey, fellas, please leave.
Yeah, let's be clear. Any of these, we're all getting dishonorably discharged within the first week.
Oh, hey, you Jack Geiger's kid? Yeah, well, you've soiled his memory. I've been here 5 minutes. Get the fuck out.
Coast Guard?
The Coast Guard. Then the Army Reserve. I could just be the backups, maybe? Is that what they are? If you're in the Army Reserve out there, I don't mean to denigrate what you do. Thank you for your service. Yeah, the one I know.
Here I go.
I don't mean to denigrate what I do, but you all suck. You should have died in the Caramel War.
Army Reserves should protect our Caramel Reserves. Now, the one I know I wouldn't want to be. You're just stuck out on a boat in the middle of nowhere. That sounds terrible. But I suppose you could do that in the Marines too. So fuck it. I'll be a Marine, bro. Novak, how about you want to be in the Coast Guard? Not Air Force?
Fuck it.
Fuck it. Sign me up for the Marines.
No. Fuck it. Yeah, I'd probably pick Marines out of sort of a default.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't. Navy's probably the last one. Like something about being stuck in the middle of the ocean. Like,
yeah,
really unappealing.
Right.
Here comes the torpedo. Well, fuck. I mean,
or like being on a submarine, I think would be probably the worst thing, right? Like you're just underwater for months at a time.
Oh god, that would make me claustrophobic as hell. I think to be stuck in those subs.
When's the last time a naval ship was just sunk by a torpedo that they had no idea was coming?
I don't know. Hunt for Red October?
Yeah, I was gonna say. I'm pretty sure they know that's what's up by now.
Everything I know about the war is from action movies.
I want to be with the rebellion, not the dark side.
Hunt for Red October and Bane. That's everything I learned about the armed forces. What service was Bane in? That's the one I want to be.
Under Siege, wasn't that the
Steven Seagal submarine?
Isn't that a Navy movie?
Yeah, it's like
and he's like the cook.
Yes,
and he like takes over the ship.
Yep.
The thing I most remember about Under Siege is it being like the only movie like that had that naked lady in it. So when you're a kid, you're just like, let's fast forward to the cake scene.
Your dad's like, oh, finally he's becoming a man. He wants to learn about the armed forces. And then all of a sudden it's just this naked chick dancing around.
And he's like, oh, well, at least he likes that chick. But I was really just like staring at the icing on the cake. I'm like, wow, it's incredibly icy. It's delicious.
Like 30 years later, Novak's suddenly realizing that's the reason he can only come when he's frosting a cake.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yup.
So I recommend not to eat any cake in my house.
Happy birthday, everyone's puking.
All right. Well, let's end it on coming in cake batter.
Wait, you said you were frosting and not coming in the cake.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
That's disgusting, man. At least
I
I
like-
see it.
I thought I could just scoop the frosting off and I'd be fine.
A good chef checks at each level of the process.
Checks. A good chef comes at every level of the process.
You like come into the cake batter and then and then your wife's like, okay, let's start frosting, and you're like, we're not done yet. And then you just start coming into the frosting.
Well, next week to finish off Candy Month, we have the biggest episode ever
Wow,
of You Tried Dat. So make sure you are here for that.
that's huge.
That'll do it for this time. We'll be back next time. We try out 3 brand new snacks.
Deuces.